We'll begin on page 65 with the morning brachot. Please rise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan tzach bina l'chachim ben yom uvein layla. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani b'tomo. Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam she'asani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam she'asani ben chorim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam u'kevi b'brim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ha'b'sharomim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam atir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokek hagufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam rakal haaretz alamayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa likol tzorki. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamechi mitzvah gaver. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ozer Yisrael b'gevurah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ater Yisrael v'tifara. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hanoten layoyet koach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ha'maviv shana me'enai u'maviv chafai. Please be seated. V'hi ratzon le'menachtar Eloheinu v'layavoseinu sh'dragelenu saratzecha v'dafnatzecha v'yatavenu l'chein. Notenenu ayam v'yom l'chen rasa rachamim v'necha v'nechoreinu v'tiglumenu chasdim tovim. Baruch atah Adonai gomel chasdim tovim amo Yisrael. Page 66. Yehi ratzon le'menachtar Adonai Elohai v'layavosai sh'tatzlein yayim v'yom ezebanim ezebanim mi'adam rab m'cheverav sh'kerav v'rav v'nashim. Me'vel kol avim v'atzavotenu anachnu mafilim v'nacharachalim anach v'nachayenu v'chaseinu v'chasem zikenu ma'ayishmeinu v'achayinu v'raseinu. L'ficha anachnu hayavim l'sracha sh'vachar v'chal v'legladesh v'latei sh'vachadai l'sracha. Ashreinu matavinu mana'im goralenu magipar yushatenu. Ashreinu she'anachnu mashkirei v'vim erelo kervoim v'mayim chayom. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai echad. Page 67. Natahu achvani brahavala, matahu mishra havala, matahu lamatavi davala baba kadesh. Et shimcha amakti shemcha v'kadesh et marlamavecha. V'yishratecha donim v'navi asharneinu baruch atah Adonai. Megadesh et shemcha v'rabim. Atahu Adonai Eloheinu b'shamayim v'aretz v'bishmei hashamayim ha'elyonim. Good Shabbos, good Shabbos. Me'amar seidecha, v'yonenu kadani yevim taseh, v'yidish b'shamayim, aseh marchetzu yokoshecha, hagadosh v'aleinu v'chayim lanu v'makshasu, v'ha'ei rahi aviyatechem, v'ikaptitechem, v'yateinechem, l'shem, v'lehila v'lochanei aretz, v'shuvi yeshivrecha v'nechem, Amar Adonai. We continue on page 83. Please rise for the Baruch Shema. Baruch Shemar V'Yaolam Baruch Baruch Oseh Bereishi Baruch Omer V'Yosef Baruch Ozer Kayim Baruch Merachem Haaretz Baruch Merachem Ha'Abriyot Baruch Meshalem Tzedekol V'Riyah Baruch Ha'Avigayam Ha'Netzach Baruch V'Rev Matzil Baruch Shemo Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ha'el ha'av ha'rachaman ha'olav v'fiyamo mishubach u'mvar v'shon chasidav v'avadav v'shivrei David avdecha halacha Adonai Eloheinu v'shvachot v'izmerot v'gadalacha v'shvachacha ונברכך ונזכיר את שמך, ונמלכך מלכנו אלוהינו. יחיכי עולמים אל המשובח, ובעד עצם הגדול, ברכת אדוני, מלמד עולו ותשבחו. Please be seated. And let us continue at the top of page 104. נשמע כל חי, תברך את שמך אדוני אלוהינו, ורוח הבשר תפאר, ותרומם זכרך מגן תמיד, מן העולם יד עולם אתה האל, ובעדך אילן מלך המשיח. רבים שנים וגזרנים וסיילים ואמרתיר הסורים והסורים נופלים זכי וחופים לכל ברכה אנחנו מודים אלוהינו מלא שירת היום שנרינה כמון גדול. Let us continue responsibly in English in the middle part of page 104. Could song fill our mouth as water fills the sea, and could joy flood our tongue like countless waves?
Could we lift up your praise as limitless as the sky, could our eyes match the splendor of the sun?
Could we soar with arms like an eagle's wings, and run with gentle grace as the swiftest deer?
Never could we fully state our gratitude for 1/10,000th of the last love that is the precious blessing of your dear God. Granted to our ancestors and to us.
ממצרים גאלתנו אדוני אלוהינו מידי רבני וניסנו ורזתנו צדקתנו מחרב הצלתנו מנבלתנו ומהלכים רעים נאמנים בביתנו עדינו אזרור גמך ולא עזבנו חסדך יל קידשנו אדוני אלוהינו לנצח. We continue top of page 105. Na'alkein ivari shevegalat habanu beruach l'shama shenavata v'yatenu v'lasher asher samata v'finu hey hey yodu v'yoraku v'shavaka v'varu yagdishu yamechu et shimecha malkeinu Yichol belach hayedeh v'chol asher lecha v'shabbat v'chol teret v'chol tikra v'chol zaman l'bnei yishtagadeh Vani ve'yomi goes along, yeh, like measure of a yarokla, like a dog, like a warrior, like a young, Kone Shamayim Ba'aret, Nehalelecha, on Shubakacha, on Parecha, Varegashin Kostagamor, Ledavi, Vartina Shin, and Adonai, the Chalter Avai, Eshen Kosho. Ha'el et azmodu zecha, Hagadol be'kod shemecha, Ha'gibor l'netzach v'hamarav v'navreotecha, Ha'melech ha'yoshev, Al kisei ram v'nisan. We continue with Shofei Nad, middle part of page 105. Shofei Nad Maharon V'kadosh Shemo V'chatuv Ranenu Tzadikim L'Adonai L'Yesharim Navam Tehila V'fi Yesharim Hinal U'v'divrei Tzadikim Kibarah U'v'sham Chasidim Kibromah V'keret kedoshim tikadash Uv'makhalori v'vodam v'tobek Yisrael V'nina yifa'arshim v'hamakeinu V'chol dor v'ador Shekein cholak v'hayitzori l'panecha Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avoteinu Lehadol lehalel l'shavei levaer Leromen lehadel v'nei melech haleis Al kol divrei Shirol v'tishbachot aviv v'nishai avdecha mishifecha. Page 106. Yeshtaba Shemecha Kenu Ha'el HaMelech HaGadol V'HaKadosh V'Shamayim UVa'aretz Ki Lecha Na'eh Adonai Eloheinu V'Elokei Avotenu Shir U'Shracha Halel V'Zimura O Z'Memshala Netzach Gedula U'Gevura Tehila V'Tiferet Kedusha U'Malchut Mirachon Olam Me'atav Yad Olam Baruch Atah Adonai El Magdal V'Tifachon El Harod Adonai Leod Avocher Shirei Zimara Melech El Chei Haolamim. We continue on page 107, and let us recite the first bracha preceding the Shema together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, yoseh or u'borei choshech, oseh shalom u'borei es hakol. Hakol yiducha, hakol yishabucha, hakol yimeru kedosh Adonai, hakol yerumucha selam. Yoseh hakol levateyah, v'kol yodot v'yodot. Hamiel Sarah Gavani, but on Pike now Taman Severishi, and Melodona Mamma, Amshibak Farminus and Masala, Elohim Razamasa, very good Ramalenu, Adon Zenos and Misgave, Mogi Shane, Misgave Adeno, Anker Kavi to La, Efes for the Midonala. Ein kerkochad and Elohim b'lamazeh, the angel atachah, makin v'elam haba, efes b'tachah golenu l'mod HaMashiach, the angel melech HaMoshiachenu, l'fiyah ha'metim. We continue with El Adon, page 108. El Adon kol hamasim baruch mevarach bepi kol neshama gadlo v'tuvo malei olam da'achud v'nasa v'vimoto amid ga'el chayos ha'kodesh v'nedor v'chavod ha'merkava zechur mishor lifnei yisrael chesed v'rachamim lifnei gavodo Tobim Yodo Shebara Eloheinu Yitzaram Bedat Bevino Vaskel Toal Uzubara Natan Bahem Liod Moshelim Mekeref Sevel Meleyem Zivu Fikim Noga Naez Divam Befol Haolam Semechim Setam Besasim Beboa Osehim Yemaretzon Kona Per Chachon Notanim Leshmo Lavela Verina Lezecher Maudo Kara Leshemesh Vayisrapor Ravehikim Surat Halavana Shebach Nostim Lo Kol Tzemamaron Iveret Gedula Serafim Yofani Bechayot HaKodesh. Page 109. La'el asher shabbat mikol ha'masim b'ayom hashvi'i l'alav yashav al kisei godo tiveret tzadayim l'chal ne'kol shabbat mizmor shalim ha'shabbat v'lazar Adonai leficha yivaru v'aso le'oko yetzura Shimachad Adonai le'ikadesh v'kamal maknei Yisrael v'shamayim yal ha'aretz mitachat Ti barak Moshe Shema Masei Yadecha V'yam Yoreyor Shasita Yiparuch HaSelah. We continue top of page 110. Ti barak Serena Makenu Yoleinu V'rei Kedoshim Yishawach Shemachal Makenu Yotzer Mishartim Yasher Mishartav Kulam Odim Banu Malam Umashmi Be'yirai V'Adekol Divrei Elohim Chayim Umelech Olam Kulam Okvi Kulam Berurim Kulam Yivarim V'Kulam Mosim B'Ema U'Yadretzon Kulam V'Kulam Barim Evihem V'Kedushat Torah V'Shira V'Zimara U'Mepardachim V'Shabbatim U'Mefarel Maritzim U'Magdishim U'Mamlechim Eshem Ha'el Amelach HaGadol HaGibor Yanorah Kadosh Hu V'Chulam V'Kapelehem Omelach Shemaim Zamizeh V'Notanim Rizalazeh Lagish Rotzram V'Nachar Ruach V'Sabam V'Ruach V'Nagadosh Rach V'Lam Kefar Oni V'Yomerim V'Yerah Kadosh 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 Adonai Tzavaot Melech Haaretz Kevado V'Haofani V'Chayot HaKadosh V'Rashkado V'Naseim V'Masorafim V'Matam Shabbatim Yomerim Baruch Kevod Adonai Mimekamo Le'avod Lemo Yitenu L'Melech HaVekayam Zimero Yimiru V'Tikvacho Yashmiru Kihu Levado V'Gavaro Soharasho Ba'al Melchamot Zeratzerako Machnu Yishuo Borei V'Adonai Adonai Nivlod HaMecharesh B'Tvot V'Yom Tomim Aseh Bereshit Ta'amor Le'oseh Orem Gedolim El Olam Chaso Or Parashat Sin Tevir Nizkeh Kumarmero Baruch Atah Adonai Yotzer Hayarot. We continue at the top of page 111, and we got the four corners of our tzitzik in preparation for the Shema. Sure. He thinks I won't remember. Avinu Malkeinu, Avor Avoteinu, Shebachnu Becha, Shebachnu Becha, Avinu Malkeinu, Vatlamadei, Chokei Chayim, Kein Bechaneinu, Lamadenu, Avinu Avarachaman, Rachem Aleinu, V'tein B'leveinu, Lahavinu Haskil, Lishmoa Lomei, Lishmor Belaso, Ukayim Godivrei Talmud, Torah V'Yahava, V'Harem V'Neinu, V'Torah Sefa, V'Davesh Leveinu, V'Mitzvot Sefa, V'Yachel V'Veinu, Le'Yahava O'Yera, Eshemecha, V'Lo Le'Mosh, Le'Olam Va'ed, V'Lo Le'Mosh, Le'Olam Va'ed, Ki V'Shem Kochha, HaGadol V'Hanora V'Tachnu, Nagila V'Nismacha, V'Shuatecha, V'Havienu L'Shalom, Me'arba Kafot Haaretz, V'Toliteinu Komiyu Le'Yartzeinu, Ki Elbo V'Nishuanata, Uvanu V'Charta Mikol Avlasha, V'Keira V'Tanu L'Shimecha, Agado Selavieme, Lehodo Lefa, Oliatecha Biyava, Baruch Adonai, Abocher Amo Yisrael, Biyava. We rise from the Shema, we continue on page 112. Asher Anachim Tzavcha Hayom Alevecha V'shunata Vanecha V'divar Tava V'shetzecha V'veitecha V'v'leitecha V'derech V'v'shofecha V'v'kumecha V'v'sharta Le'od Ha'yadecha V'yilechot Ben Yinecha V'tavatam Please be seated, and we continue. And we continue in the middle part of page 112 to the top of page 113. Yes, I was going to. Yisham ben ten levav ten started ten yet ten. Elohim achevi v'yishtachali ten lahem. V'chara Adonai b'chem asar Shemayim yin matar v'levandi ten yivolav yatem v'eretz atova asher Adonai ten lahem. Son say divrei Elohim nashatem u'kishar ten otom yosarachem v'menechem. V'yimadetem otom v'shem v'artapam v'ship v'aydav I'm just looking. I'm giving it Al Adamar Shirni Spad and I Levitation, Empty Mashamayim, Al Haaretz. We continue together at the top of page 113. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe lemor daber el bnei Yisrael amarta lehem v'yasu lahem tzitzit hakan v'gnehem ledorotam v'natenu al tzitzit hakan afatil techelech v'haya lachem letzitzim v'ritem oto Uzkartem et v'mitzvot Adonai v'asitem otam v'lo taturu acharei levavachem yacharei enetem asher temtonim achareihem למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אמן. ויעצי ונפלך יום ישר Let us continue responsibly in English, middle part of page 113.
Your teaching is true and enduring, and words are established forever.
Awesome and revered are they, unceasingly right, well ordered are they, always acceptable.
They are eloquent, majestic, and pleasant, precious, everlasting words. True,
it is eternal God, is our sovereign, and the rock of Jacob is our protecting shield.
God is eternal, our God for all generations. God's sovereign throne is firmly established. God's faithfulness endures for all time.
God's teachings are precious and abiding, they live forever.
Sisters for us, children, every generation of the people of Israel, for all ages from the first to the last. God's teachings are true from the foremost. It
is true that you are Adonai our God, even as you are the God of our ancestors. Your name endures forever, there is no God but you. And Shakahu Adonai Eloheinu Eloheinu, Malkeinu Melech Avoteinu, Goadenu Goel Avoteinu, Yotzer Netzer Yeshuateinu, Kodenu Matzelenu Me'olam Shmecha, Ein Elohim Zulatecha. We continue, top of page 114. Ezra Rabboteinu Atahu Me'olam, Magei Moshiach Livnehem Avraham B'chol Dor V'dor, V'adu Molam Shabbat Mikvatecha V'tzikatecha Ad Ze'adreh. Mibad Rein Lon Melech V'ad Moshiach, Mitzrayim Ratan and Elohim Ezavan Minasanu. Menatanu Yedidim, Zemirashu Devikachos, Berachos Varos, Malahayan. Rabbi Gadol Benora, Mashpir Gekim, Magia, Shefalim, Mosi Asirim, Ufaneanavi, Yozer Dalim, Yonelo, Veshavamela. Moshe Lenei Yisrael Lefanu Shira V'Simcha Rabba V'Yameru Kulam Mi Chamocha Ve'elim Adonai Mi Chamocha Nedor V'Kodesh Norah Tehilot Oseh Peleh Shira Chadasha Shibetu Geulim Leshim Chavsapaya Yachad Kulam Hodu Vehim Leifu V'Yameru Adonai Yemlo L'Olam Va'ed Dor Yisrael Come on, Yisrael, Uvedei Kenumecha, Yehuda de Yisrael, Go Aleinu, Adonai Tzavot Shemo, Kedosh Yisrael, Baruch atah Adonai, Ka'al Yisrael. We continue with our silent devotion on page 115. It concludes on page 120. When finished with your silent devotion, please be seated. The era and then Mincha Yerushalayim Shanim Kan. No, sir. Well, let's do a little Torah study. What else can we do? One of you want to read the hot Torah today?
Sure.
Okay. Not yet. At least when you Torah said, or when you do the hot Torah, just do not do the brachos before and after. And if you don't have a meaning, so you can't do the brachos. All right. And nothing beats the ringtone that was on Rhonda's phone many years ago. Many years ago. I never saw somebody scramble so fast. All righty, good Shabbos, everybody. And while we may not have a minion, there's no excuse why we can't study a little Torah. And let us all turn to page 41. Okay. And let's do our little tradition that we have. We'll read the Aliyah, have somebody read the Aliyah. We'll do a little commentary on it and follow that pattern going through. All right, Charlene, you're a resident Kohen. You will do, let's see, verses 9 through 16. Okay.
This is the line of Noah. Noah was a righteous man. He was blameless in his age. Noah walked with God. Noah begot 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The earth became corrupt before God. The earth was filled with lawlessness. When God saw how corrupt the earth was, for all flesh had corrupted its ways on the earth, God said to Noah, I have decided to put an end to all flesh, for the earth is filled with lawlessness because of them. I am about to destroy the earth. Make yourself an ark of gopher wood. Make it an ark with compartments and cover it inside and out with pitch. This is how you shall make it. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, its width 50 cubits, and its height 30 cubits. Make an opening for daylight in the ark and terminate it with a cubit of the top. Put the entrance to the ark in the side. Make it from bottom, second, and third beds.
All right. All right, let's discuss what Charlene just read concerning Noah. When you're looking at Eila Toledot Noach, each Tzaddik. Okay. So there are different ways to translate this. Okay. Naturally, the JPS version takes a very liberal, politically correct, gender neutral approach to translation. But when you're going literal, Eila Toledot Noach, these are the generations of Noah. Okay. But when it starts out, so this is the line of Noah, we don't see immediately anything else after it. It switches the narrative. It says that he was an Ish Tzaddik. Now, our translation here says righteous man. But what if we were to translate it differently? What if we were to translate it as a man righteous? Is there a difference in the understanding of that? if you describe somebody as a righteous man, what comes to mind? Say louder.
Either a rabbi or a teacher.
Rabbi, a teacher, okay, an esteemed person. But if you just translate it as man righteous, how could you interpret that?
I mean, it follows good moral standards, I guess.
There's a difference in translation. This is what we call biblical exegesis. Okay? No relation to the other guy. It is biblical interpretation. And it's very critical how you translate, because if you translate it one way, flipping the noun and the adjective around, it could imply something different, as I've just demonstrated. Rabbi Ishmael, who was Kohen Gadol and head of the Sanhedrin at the same time, he came out with 13 principles of Torah deduction. Okay. So what the Torah is trying to do here is describe, even though Noah was a righteous man, he was not as righteous as a person would be later on in the Torah. Leo, good Shabbos. Good Shabbos. We're up to 9. We're up to 9. So, what do you think would have happened if Avraham Avinu lived during this time? Do you think that it would have been Noah that Hashem chooses to confide in and to tell him to build an ark? Or do you think it would have been Avraham Avinu? If we compare the two individuals, what the Torah tries to teach us, he says he was blameless in his age. Okay? That Noah, or his generation, was righteous. But if you would have set him alongside of Avraham Avinu, Noah would not even have held a candle to Avraham Avinu. And it's a matter of perception. When we look at our world today, and we look what we think is right, what is wrong, it's up for a lot of debate.
So you're kind of talking about the best for the time versus the best of all time.
Precisely. When we think of Avraham Avinu, what's the one thing that stands out that really shows the true depth of his righteousness? How many times was he tested?
Enough.
10.
A million times, okay? 10 times supposedly. Between Rashi and Ramban, they have different opinions of which qualify this test. Well, one of the things that was one of the greatest tests for Avraham Avinu is when he went to battle against the 4 kings. And in that battle, he defeated those 4 kings. And what did he take of the spoils from that battle?
Nothing, wasn't it?
Nothing. Didn't take anything from the kings of Sodom and Amorah, because he recognized the true evil that they were, and he did not want to be tied to it, that none of his wealth could be tied to that level of corruption. What a concept. When we look at government today, think about it. Don't want to be tied to anything that would increase your wealth, that could be subject to scrutiny, and anything that would be considered wrong. I'm not one to preach politics, but I think most of you all will agree that many of our congressmen and senators that go in dirt poor come out extremely wealthy when they come out of government, based on what you would call living wage salaries. Avram Avinu shows the level of his righteousness because he will not take anything of the spoils from that battle. He doesn't want to be connected to it. His mission was one thing and one thing only, to redeem his kinsman, Lot, and his family. When you look at Noah, Noah is living in what kind of time?
An unrighteous time.
A very unrighteous time. Very turbulent time. In fact, the world is described by Hashem here at the end of verse 11. Haaretz, and what is the word? Hamas. What does Hamas really mean? I know everybody's looking for the translation.
Hatred.
Then in verse 11 it says the earth was filled with what? Lawlessness. Isn't that a just beautiful poetic word? Hamas, in its literal translation, means thievery, violence. There's different translations for this word. Ironic that what Israel is struggling with and fighting with in Gaza translates in Hebrew as thievery and violence. When we examine deeper into the midrash of this period of time, when it talks about how the whole earth became corrupted, it's not exactly a subject for, shall we say, public discussion. But if you can think of every level of sexual immorality, and you can think of all the things that animals were corrupted with, it truly was a turbulent time. But yet, how long did it take Noah to build the ark? Remember? We kind of haven't quite gotten to that.
Was it 120?
About 120 years. All right. And that ties in directly back into the previous week's Parsha at the end of Bereshit, where we talk about Hashem, or Hashem talks about, I will not abide by man anymore. And he says, you got 120 years to get it straight, get it fixed. When we're looking at Noah, and you know, we think of the Bible studies that we learn as kids and stuff like that, and it's all really sugar-coated. But when you really study this on this level, deeper into the way that the Torah is giving us that layer by layer of onion to unpeel, it's hard for us to truly imagine a world, an entire world of lawlessness, an entire world of violence, an entire world of thievery. Because when you kill somebody, it's an act of theft. What are you stealing? Their life. Okay? We're not talking about going along and grabbing an apple off somebody's cart here. We're talking about how there was no justice system in the world, there was no just courts, and humanity was just doing whatever they willed to do and became extremely barbaric over it. Imagine Hashem turning around and realizing that he has to make a decision to destroy his own creation. Let us continue. The lady Aliyah. All right, Matthew 17 through 19.
My part, I am about to bring the flood, waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh under the sky, in which there is breath of life. Everything on earth shall perish, but I will establish my covenant with you. You shall enter the ark with your sons, your wife, and your sons' wives, and of all that lives, of all flesh. You shall take 2 of each into the ark to keep alive with you. It shall be male and female, from birds of every kind, cattle of every kind of creeping thing on earth. 2
Okay.
of each shall come to you to stay alive.
All right, Matt. Yeah. Just 17 through 19, but that's good. All right, so now we have the instructions of what life is going to be spared. We got Noah and his wife. What was Noah's wife's name? Nobody remembers. It's not in the Torah.
Deadly was the short word.
Naamah. Naamah was her name. Okay, come out of the Midrash, out of the Sefer HaYashar. So it says, "You shall take, and all that lives, all flesh, you shall take 2 of each." Yet we know that that's not completely true, right? You know, the old little nursery rhyme, the animals went into the ark 2 by 2. But there was actually more than that. Of the clean animals, okay? From the clean animals, how many were taken in? 7 pairs. 7 pairs. And some say that this is the beginning of the true sacrificial system that would come into play. Because what does Noah do when he leaves the ark? He offers up a sacrifice of thanksgiving. All right. So let's see. Darren, why don't you do 20 through 22?
From birds of every kind, cattle of every kind of creeping thing on earth, 2 of each shall come to you to stay alive. For your part, take of everything that is eaten and store it away to serve as food for you and for them. Noah did so, just as God commanded him, so he did.
Okay. Now, later on in our Parsha, we discover actually how long that Noah and his family and all the animals and creatures that he took into the ark had to survive for. Now, how long did it rain? 40 days and 40 nights. Okay. So, how long was the actual flood? How long was Noah and his family and everything in the ark in that ark for a period of time? How long was that time? It was over a year. In fact, interestingly enough, when you're looking at the chronological accounting of all this time, Noah, the flood, occurred in the months of Cheshvan. Okay, because this month had a different name, in a Babylonian name. It was called Bull. And the word for flood is Mabul. So that's the connection of Mar Cheshvan. If you ever notice, we get done with all the holidays of Tishrei. We get done with Simchat Torah. And we're really partied out. And we really want to rest. But if you ever notice, in the Jewish calendar year, there's hardly any month that goes by that there isn't a celebration of something. Except Cheshvan. And Cheshvan is referred to as Mar Cheshvan. Or literally bitter Cheshvan. It's to indicate that this period of time is for us to kind of come down from that high of high holidays and Sukkot and Shmini Atzeres and Simchat Torah, and kind of come back into reality and connect with life, everyday routine, and not take it for granted. Because what Hashem is telling right now is that you're going to have to put your food aside. You're going to have to make provisions to be able to survive in that ark for a period of time. It's not that like they can turn around and say, okay, we're going to have a barbecue. It's a different way of thinking of survival. Okay? Not unlike Joseph in Egypt, who has been given the gift of knowledge of what to do with all the abundance of grain and everything that they're going to have in the 7 years of plenty, and how he told all the Egyptians how to store their grain properly, but they didn't follow his instruction. That's the reason why Egypt was so destitute for food when the first year of the famine came in, because their grain molded. Now you got to stop and think, what all are they holding on to eat with? They're probably eating green, so they got to bring in dirt, they got to bring in plants, they got to be able to grow for a period of time inside that ark in order to be able to have food. If they're storing anything of grain or whatever, they have to be able to keep it dry. The ark had to have been a very unique vessel, because when it came to refrigeration, when it came to food spoilage, how did they survive in there for a year? And that's when you really stop to think of how much divine providence played its role in the survival of Noah and his family. Plus, so many of those animals they had to feed as well.
51.
Huh?
What was the 51?
Well, I don't know if the boat's rocking all over. I don't think you're going to be fishing too good. So, all right, let us continue. Chapter 7 with the Rabbi Learner. Tim, why don't you read verses 1 through 9?
Then the Lord said to Noah, go into the ark with all your household, for you alone have I found righteous before me in this generation. Of every pure animal you shall take 7 pairs, males and their mates, and every animal that is not pure, 2, a male and its mate. Of the birds of the sky also 7 pairs, male and female, to keep seed alive on all the earth. For in 7 days' time I will make it rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights, and I will blot out from the earth all the existence that I created. And Noah did just as the Lord commanded him. Noah was 600 years old when the flood came, waters upon the earth. Noah with his sons, his wife, and his sons' wives went into the ark because of the waters of the flood. Of the pure animals, of the animals that are not pure, of the birds, and of everything that creeps on the ground, 2 of each, male and female, came to Noah into the ark as God had commanded Noah. And on the 7th day, the waters of the flood came upon the earth.
Okay. So here's where we find out it's 7 pairs of the clean animals. Now the question is, if the unclean were only 2 of each, why the huge disparity?
You're gonna eat the.
Well, let's stop and think for a minute. When it comes to cattle, cows, steers, bulls, all that stuff, okay? How many calves does a cow give birth to at a time? 1. Basically 1. How many piglets does a sow give birth to?
Chinese or American?
The idea is many, it's a litter, okay? When it comes to cats, when it comes to dogs, I mean, we're dealing with multiple births. But when we're coming into livestock of the kosher animals that we would be able to eat from, they don't reproduce in large quantities. Hence, another reason for the additional number of clean animals. Okay. All righty. 600 years old. What's the old adage? You better keep yourself in good shape, because you never know when somebody asks you to do a big job when you get older. All right. I think Noah was like the 3rd longest living individual in the pre-flood period, if I remember correctly. Methuselah was the oldest. That was his grandfather. And then Adam, I think, was the next one, and then Noah. Okay. So let's see. Fran,